I know it's been a minute, but I wanted to come back with a video on structuring your book. I want to start by talking about the Dave Chappelle special, and the reason why I want to talk about that is because I feel that the writing was superb. Whether you like the jokes, the content, whatever, that's up to you. But as far as just the writing, and what I mean by that is each joke was intentional. Each joke work together to tell the bigger story, from the baby joke to him living in Ohio and meeting the mother at the bar, and how that led into him meeting Daphne and punching down. Like, all of it worked together. Can gay people be racist? And all of this stuff worked together to tell the bigger story that he was trying to tell and to make the point that he was trying to make. And so I feel like nothing was in there unnecessarily. There was no filler. He gave you each joke, and while it may have seemed random at the time, you got to see that he was really just weaving all of this together to tell the bigger story. So when I finished watching it, that was my takeaway. This is great writing. I have never been a big Dave Chappelle fan. I didn't watch the Dave Chappelle show. I think my first time watching his special was the one before this one. My cousin wanted to watch it. She was at my house. We just watched it together. And then I wanted to watch this one because I kept seeing like everybody was upset about it. He said this, he did that. And so I wanted to just kind of see, because what I took away from the last special that I saw of him is that it's always a bigger meaning. It's always a bigger purpose. And so I wanted to just see, like, did he really just get up there and just do this, or, you know, whatever. So I wanted to watch it. My takeaway was the writing was great. Everything was intentional. Everything, whether you liked it or not, agreed or not, I'm not arguing that. It was intentional. He had a vision for this special. He had a message that he wanted to deliver in this special, and he used each joke to tell that story. And I just love storytelling. I just love writing, whether it's in music and comedy and books and whatever it is. I love the storytelling aspect of it. Okay, so that's going to lead to the topic, which is structuring your book. I came up with 4 little points that can help you with structuring your book. The first one is come up with a tentative plot. You don't have to stick with this. This is just something for you to go off on to begin with. I would say make it, I always do like 2 sentences. You can go up to 3 sentences, but you don't need a lot. Even if the plot is a girl falls in love with a guy, his legal troubles cause issues within a relationship. That seems very simple. That's very short, but it's so much you can pull from that. You need to first tell us who the girl is, who the guy is, how they meet. Tell us about their relationship, the ups and downs that like develop their relationship. And then what are the legal troubles? How do they affect her? How do they affect him? How do they affect them? How do they overcome them? Like, it's just so much that you can pull from that little bit. But when you don't even have that as a starting base, your stuff is going to be all over the place. It's not going to have any structure. It's not going to have a rhyme or reason. And readers can tell when I'm reading the book and I'm like, okay, they was trying to feel their way through this part. Like, they didn't have this part down packed. I can tell personally. And so when you're writing your book, make sure that you know the purpose of your book. That's easier said than done. That's going to lead into point 2, which is don't be afraid to delete. Because there have been times when I am writing a book and maybe I'm 40,000 words in and I'm still trying to figure out, what is this book about? Who are these people? What is this for? But once you get it, then you have to go back and do your self edits and say, okay, this is unnecessary. This does not push the plot. This does not go along with the storyline, and take that stuff out. I think sometimes we try to hold on to it because maybe we worried about the word count or something like that. We don't want to start over. We don't want it to seem like we haven't done any work. You have done work. And now everything has to be in alignment with that, because it just helps the story to be more structured, more concise, and more to the point. Tip 3 would be, in your first draft, just write the story. Don't just say, I want to write a book that's 70,000 words. I'm already at the climax and I'm at 20,000 words. That's not going to work. And so then you go and you start adding all this filler and all this unnecessary stuff to the beginning so that you can be on track with your word count. No, don't do that. Don't worry about the word count the first draft. Just write the book. And then in your second draft, you can say, okay, I need to develop this portion more. You're going to be adding scenes because you're going to develop the storyline more. You're going to develop the characters more. If a character has a certain personality and they make maybe a rash decision, maybe a girl just breaks up with a guy, she don't care, she don't want to hear from him, whatever the case may be, you can go back and add scenes that show why she's that way and how she got to that point. So in your first draft, just write the book. Just write the story. The word count does not matter. If you're halfway there at the climax, it does not matter. Just write the book. And then in your second draft, you can go back in and develop those things and fine tune those things and add what you need to add so that you can make sure that you're telling the story and make sure that you're showing who these characters are and why they are the way they are. Because sometimes as authors, in our head, I know who my character is. I know why he's making these decisions. I know why he's doing these things. But as readers, if I have not expressed that through the narrative, if I have not explained that in the story, it may just be abrupt to them. Like, why would he do this? Why would this happen? You know? So in your second draft, you can go back in and add the context so that you understand why this character is making the decisions that they're making and doing the things that they're doing. The fourth tip would be to use test readers. This can be somebody that you pay, or this can be just somebody that you know who loves to read, a friend, but you do want to try to gear them so that you can get what you need from them reading the book. You want to ask them specific questions. What did you think about this part? What did you feel with this character? What did you think about that? You ask them specific questions so that you can make sure that the message you're trying to convey in your book is being received. And if it's not, like, don't have people test read and then you get mad at them for their feedback. You don't listen to any of their feedback. Like, be able to take the critiques and improve your story. Don't just, if they say, oh, I feel like this character was rude. If you don't want the character to be perceived as rude, if you want him to be perceived as a person who has been through a lot and he's kind of distant and he don't trust people, if that is what you're going for, but that is not what the reader sees, then you need to go back and you need to flesh him out a little bit more so that you can make sure that who he is in your head is reflected on paper. Those are my 4 little tips on how to structure your story. Again, it's come up with a tentative plot that you can use to write the book. Number 2 is don't be scared to delete. Now, when I say delete, you don't have to like delete it forever. Like, take it from your manuscript, and maybe you can save it somewhere else, because maybe you can use that for another character, another book, another situation. But if it's not needed there, take it out. Don't try to hold on to it for word count. Don't try to hold on to it because you wrote it and you don't want to feel like you're starting over. Get rid of it. Be concise in your story, because it shows the structure and it shows how good of a writer you are, that you can stay on track and on point, and everything matters. Every scene matters. Every scene works together to push the plot, to describe the character, to develop the story. It all has to work together. So don't be scared to delete. And 3 was, in your first draft, just tell the story. You don't need to worry about a word count. Just tell the story. You can always go back in your second draft, third draft, and add the things you need to add to help flush out the characters, to help explain the plot, all of those things. And number 4 is use your test readers, your beta readers, whatever the case may be, and ask specific questions if you need to, and trust their insight.